Hello there, welcome to HolyWiki Recaps. Recaps in which we just don't give quick recaps of movies and series. But also we explain and break down story of movies and TV series. We give detailed explanation. And still try our best to keep the length of video short. So you don't get bored. And in today's video we will explain Midnight Mass mini-series. Which is divided into 7 books. So if you haven't watched this amazing mini-series, we will recommend you to watch it. Because video is full of spoilers. So with that said, let's begin the explanation. Book 1 Genesis opens with a man named Riley Flynn, who after drinking from a party while driving falls asleep and accidentally kills an innocent young woman by car. Riley is imprisoned for 4 years. In his cell he sees that young woman's spirit, which is his hallucination, as he cannot forget about it. 4 years later Riley is now free and returns to his hometown Crockett Island, a fishing village off the coast of Washington. We are introduced with Riley's parents, Anne and Ed Flynn, and his young teenage brother Warren. Warren and his other 2 friends, Ali and Hooker, decided to go out at night to drink and smoke. We also get to see a girl named Lisa who cannot walk, who is a daughter of mayor of town. At evening we get to see a man dragging a big box, which by the looks, it seems like someone is being held captured inside a box. While smoking and drinking at night in a remote area of island populated by feral cats, Warren spots a strange movement, but he ignores it. Next day Anne goes to pick up her son from the dock. As Ed is not ready to face his son right now, after what happened. At dock, the boat arrives, and Anne meets her son. At dock we also get to see a woman named Bev Keane, who is waiting for a priest named Monsignor Pruitt, who is an only priest of this town, but it seems like he wasn't on a boat. We are introduced with Erin Green, who is Riley's childhood friend. And she is pregnant as well. She is also school teacher here, who is being treated by Dr. Sarah Gunning, where we get to see Sarah's mother Mildred Gunning as well, who is suffering from dementia. We are introduced with Ali's father Hassan, who is a sheriff of this town, who has arrested a man Joe Colley, who have addiction of drinking alcohol. Today there is a big storm coming to this town, on which everyone at meeting has decided to shut down the main supply of fuel, so no one should be able to travel to prevent accidents and cover all windows and doors of all houses. Bev Keane sees smoke coming from Priest's house, so she goes to check if Priest is back or not, where she sees a new priest of town, whose identity will be revealed soon, just keep little bit patience. Riley during dinner with his family reveals that now he does not believe in God anymore. He has lost his faith in God. Although his father convinces him to go to church just for his mother. In church we are introduced with that new priest, who is here for the temporary replacement of Monsignor. During night, we get to see a strange monster killing and feeding upon feral cats. During storm, Riley sees the figure of Monsignor Pruitt walking along the beach amidst a raging storm. He tells his parents about this and then goes outside to check if someone needs his help. But that figure vanishes. The next morning, hundreds of dead cats are discovered along the beach. And here Book 1 Genesis ends. Book 2 Psalms opens with the townsfolk are unable to determine a cause of death for the cats found along the beach. Riley goes to his AA meeting outside the town. While on the other hand Father Paul Hill is doing his prayers outside while talking with Lisa. Paul learns that Lisa Scarborough was paralyzed after being accidentally shot by town drunk Joe Colley. Bev covers the church perimeter with poison to kill animal, hoping to fend off potential predators. Paul visits Sarah's mother to bless, as he learns that when she was healthy, she used visit church a lot. During night, Riley again sees a vision of that dead girl, showing that he still couldn't able to get over that accident. During the island's annual Ash Wednesday potluck, due to which entire church is full as well. While celebrating the day, Joe's dog suddenly dies after eating food off the ground, which was poisoned. Joe suspects Bev. Later, Sheriff Hassan investigates Bev, as he believes that Bev killed the dog on purpose. At Joe's place, a man who is also a drug dealer is helping Joe by changing the oil. Joe still suspects Bev, whom he personally despises for extracting church donations from the townsfolk. After convincing them to accept a settlement with the oil company that poisoned the bay's waters, knowing it would benefit the church, Erin sees a mysterious creature stalking her property. Riley attends a one-on-one AA meeting with Paul, where he expresses his contempt for the doctrine of theodicy, owing to his own guilt over his fatal car accident. On the other hand, while walking towards home, that drug dealer hears a voice, which he follows to inside an house, where he is attacked and killed by a mysterious creature. During Mass, that Sunday, Father Paul insists Lisa to rise from her wheelchair to accept the Eucharist. To everyone's shock, Lisa stands and walks. And Book 2 Psalms ends here. Book 3 Proverbs opens with everyone surprised by Lisa's sudden recovery, which the residents are convinced is a miracle. Later that, we get to see Riley's father, who now is perfectly healthy, not feeling any back pain. And same for his mother Annie, who now can see clearly without glasses, proving that Lisa was not the only miracle. Lisa visits Joe, who witnesses her recovery for the first time, and tearfully expresses the years of hatred she has harbored towards him for causing her life ruinous injury. But she forgives him, as from now on she wants to move forward. Sheriff Hassan, whose Muslim faith puts him at odds with the town's largely Christian population, when he discovers that his son Ali is studying the Bible, which was distributed to all the students at their public school. He, along with some other parents, unsuccessfully attempts to convince Bev at a town meeting to stop handing out Bibles to public school students, where Bev, with her annoying manipulating skills, indirectly tells everyone that their religion is the true religion. She didn't use the exact words, but indirectly she said it all. On which Erin is also mad at her, where she tries to step in to defend the parents' statement, but shut down by Bev. Joe, who has now decided to change himself by quitting alcohol, decides to attend an AA session with Riley and Father Paul, where after AA meeting, Joe tells Riley about his dead sister, who he still have guilt of not visiting her at the time when she needed him. On the other hand, Sheriff Hassan, while arguing with his son about the religions, he sees a strange figure from a window, which he ignores as an hallucination. Father Paul collapses in front of Bev and the Scarboroughs and dies after coughing up a stream of blood, only to suddenly resurrecting again. And now it's a moment of half-truth, where few of our questions are answered. In flashback taking place the night before Paul's first arrival on the island, Paul sits in a confession booth and reveals the true story of Monsignor Pruitt. Near Damascus City, Monsignor Pruitt was suffering from extreme dementia, who one day got caught in a sandstorm and discovered an ancient ruin, where he was attacked by a winged vampiric creature, which Monsignor Pruitt asserts is an angel that fed him its lifeblood. Pruitt awoke the next morning and found that he was young again, revealing Father Paul is none other than Monsignor Pruitt. And Book 3 Proverbs ends here. Book 4 Lamentations opens with a routine checkup. Erin is informed by Dr. Sarah Gunning that she has miscarriage. Meanwhile, Father Paul begins to experience symptoms of vampirism, including burning in sunlight, as Bev deduces his true identity. The following morning, we get to see Sarah's mother perfectly healthy. She now have no dementia, no health issues. In fact, she is little bit young. Distraught, Erin spends the day with Riley, grieving her unborn child and discussing their own respective childhoods and views on the afterlife. Erin goes to the mainland to seek a second opinion, where a doctor questions whether or not Erin was really pregnant at all. Unable to perform his duties in broad daylight, Father Paul performs an in-home evening Eucharist with Sarah's elderly mother Mildred, who is implied to have had a history with Monsignor Pruitt. Later, at the rectory, Father Paul is visited by Joe, who witnesses Father Paul drinking the blood of the angel, which he has bottled and has been diluting with communion wine. Father Paul murders Joe and feeds on his blood. Bev, Mayor Scarborough, and local handyman Sturge discover Joe's corpse and a weary Father Paul. The following morning, Bev elects to cover up the murder, believing Father Paul to be justified in his actions and his resurrection to be an omen of the second coming of Christ, seemingly recovered by the evening. Father Paul and Riley meet for AA, and Paul explains to Riley that Joe is absent, visiting his sister on the mainland. Riley knows this to be untrue. However, as Joe had confided to him that his sister had died months ago, Riley leaves the meeting confused. During midnight, on his way to meet Aaron, Riley, being confused, returns to the rec center to confront Father Paul, where he sees the same angel, who is seen shedding its blood into a decanter. But before he could process, he is attacked by the angel. Paul closes the rec center's door, and Book 4 Lamentations ends. Book 5 Gospels opens with Aaron concerned over the sudden disappearance of Riley. Aaron files a missing persons case with Sheriff Hassan, who hypothesizes that Riley may have relapsed or committed suicide. At the evening of Good Friday Mass, Father Paul delivers a sermon rife with militaristic rhetoric, urging the congregation to prepare for war as soldiers in God's army. Where Mildred, within seconds, realizes that something is wrong going on here. After all, she has years of experience. These type of manipulations do not work on her. While leaving the church, she orders Sarah that from now on none of us will visit this church, as this church is not what it used to be. Later that night, Riley appears on Aaron's doorstep. Yes, Riley is not dead yet, he is still alive. Riley asks Aaron to go offshore on a boat with him. Aaron, while suspicious, agrees. Rowing far away from the island, Riley reveals to Aaron what happened to him. After being attacked by the angel, Riley rapidly recovered under the care of Father Paul. Father Paul reveals his true identity to him and tells him that he believes the angel's blood is a gift from God and has been mixing it into communion wine to heal the residents of Crockett Island. He also believes the new vampiric traits the both of them are developing are marks of God's favor. Bev later affirms this belief, believing that the immortality the blood brings is a sign of the end times. Riley leaves the rec center, disgusted, and leaves notes for his family and Monsignor Pruitt behind before going to see Aaron. Aaron, unsure of whether to trust Riley, questions why he has brought her out on a boat. Riley dispels the thought that he'd attack her, saying he brought her out onto the water, so he has no place left to run. Riley declares his love for Aaron, which she reciprocates. Basically, Riley brought Aaron here because he wants to prove her that he is telling the truth. And also he don't want to live like a monster, which he will know when the sun rises. As the sun rises, Riley has a vision of the woman he killed in the accident, smiling and taking his hand in hers. Riley combusts and quickly burns away to ashes as Aaron screams in horror. And Book 5 Gospels ends here. Book 6 Act of the Apostles opens with Aaron's return to the island after witnessing Riley burned to death and tells Sarah what is happening. Sarah shows Aaron the de-aged Mildred and how her blood samples burn under sunlight. Bev convinces Father Paul to share what he has with the other residents. Sarah shares with Aaron and Mildred her theory that Father Paul is sharing a virus that creates these strange medical miracles via the wine at church. Sarah informs Sheriff Hassan about her suspicions regarding the church, but Hassan refuses to look further, fearing further alienation from the locals. Aaron informs Annie of Riley's death, but is berated by a furious Annie who refuses to believe her. Aaron, Sarah, and Mildred attempt to get the ferry to the mainland, but discovers that Mayor Scarborough has sent the ferries away and witness Sturge locking down the fishing boats. That night before Easter Mass, Sturge cuts power to the town and sabotages the cell tower. The townsfolk perform a candle-lit march to church before Mass begins. Father Paul performs a sermon revealing he is Monsignor Pruitt to the residents. Father Paul gives Sturge poison to prove his points on which Hassan went about to leave with his son. The angel arrives at Massachusetts every to the shock of Beast walking in front of them. At that moment Sturge wakes up as a vampire. The angel brings out its wings. The Father Paul encourages the churchgoers to drink poison in order to die and be reborn with greater power. Several residents drink the poison including Lisa's parents, Hooker and Ali. Mildred shoots Father Paul in the head. But she is attacked by the angel who swoops her out of the church. The dead churchgoers resurrect as vampires and attack those who haven't drunk the poison including Ed. But since all these people have a vampire blood inside their body, so after their death, all of them are turned into vampires. During the massacre, Aaron, Hassan, Lisa, Sarah, Warren, and Annie escape. Aaron shoots Bev before the group flees into town. Since Bev had a vampire blood inside her body as well. So after dying, she is resurrected as a vampire. Bev unleashed the vampires onto the remaining townsfolk. And Book 6 Act of the Apostles end here. Book 7 Revelation opens with the now vampiric Mildred reunites with Father Paul. And it is revealed that the two had an affair many years ago and that Sarah is their daughter. Father Paul confesses that he brought the angel to the island in order to rejuvenate Mildred. So that the two of them could have a second chance to be together. Bev, convinced vampirism is a gift from heaven, leads the vampires in a war across the island, killing anyone they can find. In a house where Aaron, Sarah, Hassan, Warren, Lisa, and Annie are hiding, Aaron realizes that these vampires are planning to use boats to get to the mainland and bring the apocalypse. So they all decide that Warren and Aaron will get to the shore and will use a small boat to get as far away as possible from the land. Whereas Aaron, Sarah, Hassan and Annie will burn the remaining boats to prevent vampires from leaving this island. During discussion they are attacked by Bev and Sturge, who are trying to burn the house. Where Annie goes outside the house to distract Bev and Sturge, giving others enough time to escape. Annie kills herself by cutting her throat, distracting Bev and Sturge. Sturge explains to Bev that if they don't get rid of the fire, then it will spread. But Bev tells him that that's how it should go. She orders him to burn all the houses on island and bring all the turned vampires to the church. After they left, Annie is turned into a vampire, where she reunites with her husband Ed, who explains her that he hasn't killed anyone, he hasn't drank a single drop of blood, and gives her relief that if he can control his bloodthirst, and so she can as well. Warren and Lisa separated from the group while escaping. Lisa takes a shotgun from Joe's place, but soon chased by more vampires, so they decides to hide inside an abandoned house, where they are confronted by an angel who she first shoots when it does not work. She throws gasoline on him and tries to burn him, but the angel flies off. Meanwhile, Aaron, Sarah and Hassan set fire on the boats to prevent the vampires from leaving the island and spreading vampirism to the mainland to stop the vampire apocalypse. Warren and Lisa successfully able to reach to the boat and gets as far away from the shore according to plan to avoid the carnage. Father Paul, horrified by the orgy of violence, denounces Bev, and she in turn denounces him as a false prophet. Bev prepares town's recreation center for the vampires, which she is intended to use as a shelter during day. Sarah attempts to burn down the church, but Sturge shoots Sarah, where she gets to know about her father. Sarah's parents takes her to a bridge where she used to play when she was young, but before that they burn the church. Meanwhile Aaron and Hassan are attempting to burn the rec center, so vampires won't be able to seek shelter during day. Bev shoots Hassan, and Aaron is attacked by the angel. But before Aaron dies, she slashes the wings of the angel, preventing it from flying away and trapping it on the island, which works. As Angel struggles to fly, where Warren and Lisa sees it flying very slowly, making sure that by the dawn, the angel will caught up in sunlight and will die along with the other vampires. All the houses in the town along with the church are burned to the ground. That means an only shelter for the vampires during the day is rec center. But Ali burns down the rec center as well, leaving no shelter for the vampires. Many vampires are appalled at what they have done to the town and abandon Bev's cause. As dawn approaches, the remorseful vampires, led by Ed and Annie Flynn, gather to be immolated by the rising sun. Singing Nearer, My God, to Thee is one last declaration of faith and unity. Sheriff Hassan dies of his wounds on the beach, accompanied by Ali during praying. Bev is also caught on the beach by the rising sun and dies screaming in fear. Father Paul and Mildred hold hands as they watch the sun rise and are burned to death. Lisa Scarborough and Warren Flynn, who rowed offshore to avoid the carnage, are the island's only survivors. As the island's inhabitants die, Lisa tells Warren that she can no longer feel her legs. And Book 7 Revelation. And entire season ends here. Okay, so now, let's clear all your doubts. So what happened is that Monsignor Pruitt had a dementia. He got lost in Jerusalem and got caught into sandstorm. He finds a cave in which he finds a vampire, which he calls an angel. That vampire fed on his blood and then made him drink his blood, but he drinks so much blood that becomes young. He later brings that vampire to the town in a box to help his town. He was feeding everyone at church a vampire's blood by mixing it with wine. That was the reason everyone was healing. If you have watched the Vampire Diaries, then you should know that vampire blood can heal others. But if you die while having a vampire blood inside of you, you become vampire as well. By the end of series, we also saw that Lisa tells Warren that she cannot feel her legs. That means vampire blood effect was over from the body. Because to prevent from permanent injury, you have to keep drinking vampire blood to stay healthy. But small health problems like eyesight, pain can be healed permanently. Same thing happened with Father Paul. He became vampire when he died because of the poison. And I think that poison was given to him by Bev, who must have seen Monsignor Pruitt's old picture and then must have found out the blood mixed in wine. From there, after research, she must have found out about vampire. Then she killed Paul to trigger vampire curse. So she can manipulate him into making others vampire as well. It may look like a long shot, but I believe Bev must have found out about vampire from that abandoned house where original vampire was seeking shelter from. This is an only logical theory proving that who poisoned Paul to turn him into vampire. Another question you must be wondering about: Erin's pregnancy. Erin married a very abusive man who used to hurt her. After finding out that she is pregnant, she left her abusive husband and moves back into her hometown. Now the question, how there was no trace of her pregnancy. Dr. Sarah told her that she had miscarriage. But another doctor from mainland told her that she was never pregnant. Answer to this question is that Erin was also consuming church's wine, in which there was vampire blood. Now vampire blood heals people, right? So what must have happened is that Erin must had miscarriage during sleeping. But she didn't felt any of the pain or anything during miscarriage, because vampire blood was healing her as well. During miscarriage, vampire blood didn't let her body feel the effect of miscarriage. And after miscarriage, since vampire blood heals, so it must have purified the waste in her body. That was the reason there was not a single trace of pregnancy. Another question is why original vampire had wings and was so much transformed. My theory to fill this question is that when a vampire lives for ages, it transforms into this winged creature. More like an evolution. Because there are so many mythical concepts. So I answered all the important questions. Now let's talk about plot holes. There are 2 plot holes in this mini-series. One of the plot holes is that they didn't use the vampire word a single time in any of the books. And I mean, not even one time. I used vampire word in this video, but in series, there wasn't a single time vampire word was used. Second plot hole, when all the houses and shelters were burned down. Why didn't they use trousers to see shade during day? Or even standing behind burned hoses would have worked as well. As in the end Bev was digging in sand to be safe from sunlight. Why not just seek shelter from trees? To be honest, ignoring these 2 plot holes. Overall, this was an outstanding mini-series directed by Mike Flanagan, which is an anthology series set in the universe of The Haunting. No doubt Mike Flanagan is a very talented director. Those who haven't watched this series must watch, because if you support good studio will make good quality content. And if you have watched it, or you have any question regarding to this mini-series, must leave your thoughts and opinions down in comment section. And make sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell icon to stay notified for our latest recap videos.